Hey guys, Jackson Harp here coming at you with another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about Spider-Man Far From Home, the newest film to enter the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Before I continue, if you enjoy movie reviews and you enjoy this one, feel free to hit the subscribe button down below, ring the bell for notifications, and when I post other movie reviews, you'll see them. Real quick note, I do not have a properly functioning laptop. And so any editing that I would like to do is pretty much out of the question. So this is a one-cut movie review. I'll try to keep it fairly brief. And if you haven't seen Far From Home and you don't want the movie ruined for you, go ahead and stop watching the video right now because I'm about to enter deep spoiler territory. Let's go ahead and get started. Right off the bat, I'll go ahead and say I very much enjoyed the movie. The problem with a lot of sequels, as most of you are fully aware, is that they don't hold up to the original. For me, I think I enjoyed Homecoming a little bit more, or at the very least, I thought it was a more functional story. Not to say that Far From Home wasn't functional or that it wasn't good or anything like that, but there's certain things about it that took me out of the movie a little bit. And some other elements that I thought of after I had seen the movie and I had a day to digest it that I decided, didn't really work from a storytelling standpoint. But I'll start with the positives first. Number one, the acting. All across the board, much like in Spider-Man Homecoming, I thought the acting here was great. Tom Holland once again proves that he is the perfect combination of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, bringing a lot of wit to the table and genuinely good acting when there's a more dramatic sequence. Zendaya, who plays MJ, I think brings a lot to the character. This is a rather unique direction for the character MJ, but I think it's a smart, modernized version of the character that I really enjoy watching, and I especially enjoy watching her connection with Peter Parker. I can't remember the actor who plays Ned, but he always does a great job. He's hilarious. He has a fun little romance with, I can't remember the character's name, to be completely honest, but he ends up getting this just spur of the moment like girlfriend on the course of this trip in Europe that they're on, and it's super fun to watch. And Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio is exactly what I was hoping it would be. I was so pleased, as I always am, because Jake Gyllenhaal is just incredible. And it's funny, because I remember when they announced that Mysterio was going to be the villain for this movie, I got kind of bummed, because he's never been a Spider-Man villain that I really held in high regard. It was always like, oh, Mysterio. He's that really wimpy guy that makes good illusion things. So when they announced him for this movie, I was like, all right, well, we'll see how this goes. But then they said Jake Gyllenhaal was going to play him, and I was like, all right, this could be very interesting. And it was. He wasn't quite as dark and twisted as I thought he would be, but that's fine, because when I think dark and twisted with Jake Gyllenhaal, I think of the movie Nightcrawler. And of course they can't get that dark. After all, this is an MCU film, and Nightcrawler is a dark and twisted movie. But if you haven't seen it, side note, go watch it. Seriously, amazing. Anyway, back to Spider-Man. Yeah, so he was great as Mysterio. So that's one of the positives. Another positive thing here, the action in this movie gets cranked up to 11. So Spider-Man Homecoming had some cool scenes in it, but I remember, and I've seen it a few more times since my first viewing, and the action's good, but none of it stands out as like, oh man, and then there was that one moment, it's just sort of, it's there, and it's entertaining. The Washington Monument, I guess, is the one that stands out to me the most. That scene was really neat. But in this movie, every action scene is super cool. And it really seems like they were a lot more, they were a lot more confident, I guess, and they decided to, take better care, for lack of a better word, of the action scenes. It seems like they got a lot more attention. The action sequences got a lot more attention from the filmmakers. There's one particular scene about 2/3 of the way through the movie, I guess, where Mysterio is, he's got Spider-Man trapped in a series of illusions, and it's really trippy and weird. It kind of reminds me of that beginning sequence in the Doctor Strange movie, but it's super cool. And I could have used a little more of that. We get a dose of it in the final battle, but that one scene was, it was really, really neat. And it's one of those scenes that I could, like, a year from now when it's on YouTube, that's like a scene that I'll rewatch just for fun from time to time. And so those are probably the biggest positive points. They're not the only good things about the movie. I mean, the humor is great. They address the events of Endgame in a way that I thought was really clever. But let's dive into what I didn't care for as much in the film. So in Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm going to talk about Homecoming really quick. Story-wise, the only thing that bothered me was that, Happy kind of seemed like he was ignoring Peter Parker, even though his job was literally to not do that. And that never got addressed, that he, sucked at his job. And in Far From Home, I think the plot point that bothers me, unfortunately, is the main plot, which is Tony Stark leaves behind this pair of glasses for Peter after his death. And there's a note on there that says, "For the next Tony Stark, I trust you." And it's this like multi-million-dollar piece of tech. It can call assassin drones, and I think it's supposed to be funny, I guess, a sequence where Peter gets caught with his pants down, literally, and a classmate takes a picture of it, and he's like, "I'm going to show MJ," because high school. And they're on this bus, and Peter turns on the glasses, and the glasses have a voice named, I think, Edith. And, she's like, "How can I help you?" And he's like, "This kid, Brad, has a picture of me on his phone. I want to delete it." And she goes, "Is Brad a target?" And he goes, yeah, Brad's a target." And so an assassin drone shows up, and then Peter's like, "Oh no, that's not what I meant." And then Peter has to distract everyone on the bus. "Look over there!" And then he jumps like out of the roof and like webs it down. And it's really dumb. It's really, really dumb. And it's dumb for a couple of reasons. Number one, the scene with his pants down is when he gets the stealth suit. And this woman, I guess, is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who we only see in this one scene and never again. So her only purpose is to be attractive blonde woman. And she has a foreign accent. She hands Peter the suit, and she's like, "Take off your clothes," as opposed to saying, "Put on the suit." She says, "Take off your clothes." And she keeps saying that, and so he's like taking his clothes off, and then this guy, Brad, walks in and sees, that picture, and takes a photo of it on his phone. And that's all so that this scene on the bus can happen. And that all happens so that Nick Fury can look at Peter later and say, "You're really irresponsible with this piece of technology. I don't think you're ready for the missions that I, want you on. So I'm going to go with Mysterio instead." Because, we don't know Mysterio. They don't know Mysterio's the villain yet. And I just thought that was really silly. It was a bit contrived. I guess I laughed because it was really uncomfortable and it was like a shock factor thing. But, the scene wasn't, like, funny. So it just seemed a little, dumb. So that bummed me out. And then the whole story with the glasses doesn't make sense. It's like Tony dies, then he leaves Peter Parker these really expensive glasses. I would have picked Pepper to leave them with. Maybe Happy. Not Nick Fury. Okay, I get that. But Peter? And there's a scene later where he's talking to Happy. He's like, "Happy, maybe I'm not ready for this." And Happy's like, "Tony doubted a lot, second-guessed a lot of things, but he never second-guessed you." And as an audience member, I listened to that line happen, and I was like, "Yeah, he did. What are you talking about? He never second-guessed it." Like, the whole movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, was like Tony second-guessing Peter. What are you talking about? He's never second-guessed him. That is a bold-faced lie. Like, Or are we just going to not address that? So that all felt just kind of thrown in there, maybe a little bit of lazy writing. I don't know. So that bummed me out. But that was the only thing that bummed me out. It's unfortunate that the only thing was a major plot point. But apart from that, I mean, I enjoyed the whole film start to finish. It was fun to watch. A lot of humor, great action scenes. Again, like seriously, they amped it way up and it very much paid off. So, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Into the Spider-Verse is without a doubt still my favorite Spider-Man movie, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. But Far From Home, definitely worth the watch. And yeah, I'm excited to see where they go from here. Thanks for watching, guys. Went a little bit long, it looks like, but if you stuck around for the whole thing, I really appreciate it. Again, subscribe, ring the bell, let me know what other movies you would like me to talk about. And I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.